Language is one of the most important parts of our daily lives, right? The simple action of me using my vocal cords is called speaking. Your eardrums processing these same sounds, listening, viewing characters on a paper, reading, spelling out characters with a writing utensil or computer, writing. These four principles make up what we call language, simply the way we communicate, express ourselves, and teach one another. Language shapes our worldview, opportunities, and the way that we interact with one another. Yet we don't think about it all too much. Humans have over 7,000 global languages. Yet every single language can be broken down into the same three components, the smallest of these being phonemes, short and distinctive sound units. We combine phonemes to create morphemes, the smallest components of a language that carry meaning, such as words or parts of words, such as a prefix. When we're born, we begin to make noise, and after a year of life, we begin to mimic the sounds we hear from those around us, becoming our first words. From then on, we study the specific rules of language, but we mostly get what we know from direct experience listening to others. The word infant is derived from the Latin word infans, meaning not speaking, though after only 4 months, they can begin to recognize differences in speech and read lips, matching mouth movements with corresponding sounds. At this age, the no longer infants develop receptive language, meaning the ability to understand what is said to us and about us. Soon, the infant reaches the stage of speech called babbling, in which the infant spontaneously utters various sounds unrelated to the household language. Though it may sound similar, babbling is not an imitation of adult speech and will typically include sounds from various languages. Deaf babies will watch their parents signing and begin to babble by using their hands. Around the 10-month mark, the babbling changes into productive language, and the words they say, or sign, will actually carry meaning. But without exposure to other languages, the child will lose ability to create particular tones not a part of their household language. When they reach their first year, they will begin to connect nouns to real objects and can point them out to others. Around 18 months, their capacity to learn words jumps from 1 a week to 1 a day. When they turn 2, they can create simple 2-word sentences. Want juice, go potty, no shoes. You may have heard someone say that it's much harder to learn as an adult than as a child, and in some cases, this may be true. Though in the case of learning languages, some things are most effectively learned young, while others old, such as attention span and vocabulary staying with us throughout adulthood. A few months ago, I was just an ordinary kid doing ordinary things until I received a letter from an owl. It said, "Dear Mr. Hill, we're pleased to inform you that you have a place in the Rotary Youth Exchange Program. Term begins August 3rd. Stunned, I turned to my Muggle parents, but they were happy to get me out of their house. About 6 months ago, I attended a meeting with Rotary Youth Exchange, RYE in short. In Black Mountain, over the course of a weekend, I met a dozen of amazing people, both looking to go out of the country, like me, and hear from foreign countries around the world. I began the process of applying to be part of the program. Halfway through February, I found out that I'd be traveling to Brazil, my first choice. I talked with a Brazilian while in Black Mountain, and it sounded like the perfect place to forget my worries, spend my last year of blissful youth, as well as forge meaningful connections. I've spent the past few months preparing to travel to Brazil for my exchange year, and I've been thinking about the way that we learn language. Throughout my high school career, I've taken 5 Spanish classes, 3 of which were Spanish 3. Imagine my surprise when I found out they don't speak Spanish in Brazil. To learn Portuguese, I began using apps such as Duolingo, as well as listening to music and podcasts from Brazil. While I know that apps are not the most effective way to learn, they're simple and easy to use consistently. And I've learned that that is better than nothing. I've spoken with Brazilian exchange students living here and made friends online who live in Brazil to talk to them. Doing other small things, such as setting my phone to Portuguese, forces me to think about the language a little more every day. The more interesting you make it, the easier it becomes. I talked to my nonna a few days ago, and she was able to describe to me in detail her experiences immigrating to Canada at 5 years old, speaking only Italian. She talked about difficulties telling time with the school schedule, and how because of her age, she was learning English words at the same time as other children, but translating them into Italian in her head. She gave me some advice based on her personal experience, saying that past a very young age, it is difficult to get rid of a foreign accent, and that when you are young, it is best to fully immerse in the language, whereas when you're older, studying grammatical structures will help you. Besides simply being functional, language can be connecting and inspiring. I had an experience in a town called Aguas Calientes in Peru, where I figured out that the name of the town meant hot waters, referring to a natural spring occurring there. This prompted me to pay more attention to signs that I could read and what else there was to learn. Being able to use a language you've been learning in a foreign country is extremely gratifying, and understanding the name of a town or overhearing a conversation between locals. Experiences such as these help build community and create the desire to learn. In my opinion, learning and sharing are the two most valuable keys to happiness. While the majority of my language learning journey is still ahead of me, the experiences that I've had so far have opened my mind and been engaging to the idea that language gives you. I'm excited for what's to come, and I look forward to learning as much as I can. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next year.